Oh, this one. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that's the
okay,
most
okay.
recent one. Yeah, wow. The other one is like from 2000 and like I don't know.
Right. So that one was distributed. I think that's when it was distributed by what do you call it? You know that default generation by YouTube.
Okay.
If you distribute your song online,
Okay,
then
yeah.
YouTube generates this thing for you.
Yeah, so I got Central to Bank and then Bank
Okay, Bishop, yes, you wonder what is going on. Don't worry, I'm live in the studios of GN Radio on Worship and Inspiration. It's a program that's been going on for a while, but I took a break. Yeah, so I took a break, but I'm back together with my co-host or hostess, Amanda. You can see her face. Let me try and move this thing around so that you can see it. Yeah, so that's it. That's Amanda for you. Yeah, right. Okay, so yeah, we are here, and our special guest Niella, we will be talking about her life, about her music, and yeah. Oh wow, beautician hairdresser. You do men's hair as well. Hairdresser. Okay.
I was wrong. You know you can still do something. My dad ain't gonna know it, but you can do it. I mean, these days we have man weaves. So,
Man weaves.
You can get a man weave, or you can get like a lace front beard as well.
Are you serious?
Yeah, have you not heard of it?
Charlie, so
It's not a beautician.
nothing is as it is. Nothing is as it is now. You can see her if you like. If you're a girl, if you're a lady who you know, oh me, I like bearded guys. You go and the guy's beard is fake. Oh my goodness. Because you are a professional, you work in that field.
Even if it looks really good. Come on, girl. I mean, probably someone else.
Niella, do you speak Chi? Kakra. Okay. Mandy, but you need to, this particular microphone, you need to move it very close to Niella. Yeah.
Of like 2010, 2009 is 2010 all the way. But then after a while, I decided to stay. Afterwards, I decided to stay. So it's like in the past year, I've been able to take part in it. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, yeah. But you have to be open to it. Yeah, I mean, I think you're done. I think you're done. Born here or get me a bit more background. Yeah, it's very good. It's good to go back. It's good to go back home.
His name is Eugene Zuta. He calls that one Faithful God. If you remember the song, yes,
I've watched that song so many times.
Absolutely love him as well. And you know what? Don't worry, watch out. Later in the year, yours truly has a song with this gentleman. It's a public domain song, but just put a little twist to it. And Zuta actually joined me to bless that track with his voice. So watch out later. In the year, God willing, we'll put that track out. But that's just a way of me telling you that something is coming up. But hey, let's say welcome to our guest, Niella. The accounts will say Akwaba.
I don't actually know the response to Akwaba.
You don't?
What do you say to Akwaba? Machi.
Oh.
I'm done. I know that's not the response. Oh, what do you
Machi
say?
Is good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Man.
Akwaba. What do you say to Akwaba? Maha.
Akwaba is Mejoso, or
okay,
you know.
Okay. I speak Chi very well, though, sorry.
No. Tom, please, you can't convince us that you speak with
See,
the
I did well.
responsibility.
I
You
said-
did well. You actually did well,
Okay,
man.
let's go to Niella. I saw Niella today.
But Niella, welcome. We're
us.
so thankful to have you in the studio. This is the
Yes.
first time. Actually, I was doing a live video when on my way to the studio. I was saying that I think this is the first time I am interviewing you. All the interviews that you've been to, I have produced the show. So
okay.
I'm around when you come for the interview, but actually I'm not the one doing the interview. But I think there was one that it was a live launch that where you came to sing.
Yeah.
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 So you came to sing. So well, we didn't get to talk.
Okay.
But thankfully today we get to talk. So all the questions I've piled for the past like 5 years since I started stalking you,
I
I'm
don't
going
think
to
you have
ask you
enough
today.
time, but okay.
And Amanda, I know you also have some questions you want to ask me.
Definitely. Obviously, as a young person who's singing and pushing for the gospel, you know, it's not easy in this time in this generation.
Very
All of
true.
us.
Very true.
And you know, you're doing so well, like to push it. And I'm looking at your song like, oh my god, wow! It sounds so raw and so like moving in the sense that it's hard to move young people now. So to have a sound that can move young people to worship or to calm down, there's a lot going on. Wow! So tell us a bit about your music journey and what it all started for you.
Wow. So I grew up in a very musical family. Literally everyone in my family can do something musical. Maybe not pursuing it entirely, but everybody can do something musical. Either play, sing, write, play one instrument, or just something musical. So music has always been around. So since I was like, my earliest memory of singing is I was 3. And my grandma was in the kitchen, my mum was in the kitchen, and everyone was just singing. And we are just, like, my brother's playing drums on the stairs or on pots, pans. So very, very musical family. But I never said I wanted to be a musician or a singer from young. That actually happened when I was a lot more older, I guess through the things that happened in life. And I wanted to be, I was so confused. I wanted to be an artist, a painter, a singer,
So you're very creative.
a rapper. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, very, very. Yeah, and I was very like introvert, very quiet, I mean, people don't really believe it now, but yeah, I was very introvert, very quiet and all that. But then I guess like my teenage years, like I said, I got shipped to Ghana.
Yes.
When you
It
say
doesn't mean ship. Do you really mean ship?
Everyone knows what it means. They say shit.
Oh,
Ghana.
They put you in nice ticket. They put you in first class, right?
No.
we want to understand shipped
Yes,
in the real sense of shipped as it pertains to you. So were you shipped because
you were a naughty girl?
Because I was becoming, I guess, more and more confused, more and more like wayward. I wasn't really listening to my mom.
Sort of it was an identity thing.
Coming home. Yeah, it was mainly because I just didn't really know what my purpose was. I guess that's where it all stemmed from. But then it kind of, I feel like obviously when you have a root problem and you don't necessarily address the root, or sometimes you might not even know what the root is at the time, because the issue is spilling out onto so many other things like education, family, relationships, just everything else. You know, everything just seems like it's just going crazy. And the question that I was always asking myself was just like, what am I doing here on earth? What's my purpose? When my parents even give birth to me, I was full of lots of like anger and stuff. And yeah, I got arrested actually. That's how I ended up in Ghana.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
For shoplifting.
Oh, girl, we've all done it. When I was younger, I'm not gonna pretend to you. I was in this girl's work. I'm into, you know, whatever.
You were not arrested. I guess the Met Police is listening now.
Oh, listen, I was 14, so my CRB is clear. I got a job now. I'm all cool. I work for the NHS. Working at NHS for 5 years.
Record.
Listen, they can't do nothing, so it says clear.
Well,
the Holy Spirit cleared it.
I got warning.
I got warning too.
I don't have a criminal record.
But you know what's funny? It tells you the truth. At that age, I don't know what is happening. I don't know if it's from environment, from school. There's a lot of pressure. And like what Niella is saying, I was exactly involved in stuff like that. And it's actually touching me. I'm not open up about it. Obviously, NHS in it. But listen, they can hear it. But sorry, Niella, going back to you. Wow, so how did going to Ghana actually transform you?
So when I went to Ghana, to be honest, my mom was like, let's go and visit your dad in Ghana, because my dad was in Ghana at the time.
That's always the caveat, isn't it?
And the guy, I was dating this one guy at the time, and he was like, if you go to Ghana, you're not coming back. And I was like,
how old were you? If we talk about dating at that time.
17, 18.
Okay.
17, 18.
Right.
And,
he allows it.
Huh? He said he allows
loves
it.
it.
It's already happened.
Exactly.
Like, it is what it is.
He was
so,
asking you just in case you're not 13.
If I was 13, well, what are you going to do? Rewind
Yeah,
time?
tell him. I'm
Well, whoop
joking.
me. But, yeah, he was like, if you get on the plane, you're not coming back. And I was just like, like my mom said, it's just a holiday, just for 2 weeks. So then I was like, no, I thought about it and I was like, no, actually, I really think if I go, I'm not coming back. So then I decided to write my mum a letter. And I wrote her a letter saying that go and get a refund back from British Airways because you're basically throwing your money in the bin. No one's going to be on that flight. Some harsh letter. And I remember coming home and I think I went into the bedroom. I don't even know if it was because one of my brothers probably said, oh, Ma's upset and she's upstairs and she's upset or something. But I went upstairs and my mum was crying, crying. And my mum doesn't, there's 7 of us, right? And I don't think I've seen my mum cry like that for my other siblings. Maybe she cried, but I didn't see. But the first time I'd seen, and she was holding the letter in her hand. And she was she was bawling, like crying. And I was like, whoa. Like, in spite of my, crazy moments, I was like, gosh, I haven't seen her cry like this. Like, this must be just because I said I won't go to Ghana. Like, why are you crying? So I was like, okay, fine, I'll go. Yeah, but that was it. That was the end for me. Once I got there, passport went missing. We got, put on a prayer mountain. Atria mountain.
Are you joking?
Specific.
Are you serious?
Wow,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
But you see, although it looks like now we are saying it and I'm not saying we are saying it lightly, but we are saying it excitedly.
It's a serious matter.
I can just see the result.
That's true, yeah.
Wow.
Literally, we can all testify
to the
prayer
result mountain,
of this, it wasn't the prayer mountain.
Your mother's prayers, that's what you can say.
It's the prayer of yours contributed to the transformation, because once it was a prayer unto God, it was a cry for God to intervene in your life.
I wasn't praying, but yeah.
I know a lot of people that were gone to Ghana, come back and.
But you were not praying, but I guess your mom was praying for you.
Obviously, yeah, she's been praying since we were born. I guess my parents are pastors, so yes, she's been praying. But I guess the turning point for me was literally me and my brother ran away from the mountain with only 5 cities, and it's beyond Kumasi. So from Kumasi to Accra, we only had 5 cities. So what we did was we ran away from the mountain. I had to borrow one of my brother's trousers because I needed to get down the mountain, and it was like really muddy, and it takes about an hour to go up the mountain, guys. And then I think it took about an hour to come down the mountain. So we left at 4 a.m., came down the mountain, and then there was like a little trotro at the bottom, and then the trotro had to fill up. So we had to wait for the trotro to fill up. And then I'm trying to like summarize it for you. Then we managed, it was like one city, 70 pesos or something per person to get to Kumasi. So we got to Kumasi. Then from Kumasi, we didn't have money. So my brother called his friend in England, told him to transfer money to a friend that we had previously in school in Ghana. So the friend in England transferred the money to the friend in Ghana and picked it up with his ID, because we had no ID, guys, because we were shit. So then there was a couple who saw us in Kumasi and were like, oh my God, you guys look stranded. And then we were like, yeah, like we're just trying to get to Accra and we're lost. And we put on our best British accents, and they were like, oh my God. So they paid for our tickets, and then we got to Accra, and then we booked a hotel, and then we chilled out there. We just waited.
What?
So when they chilled out, then what happened?
What happened?
Everybody was calling us. You guys need to come back. Where are you? You run away.
But you had a phone at the time. You had a phone on you.
Yeah. How did we even get the phone? I can't remember. But yeah, we had a phone in us.
But your parents' house was based in Kumasi?
No, in Accra.
Oh,
but we were in Atria.
You didn't go home?
No. No, to go and meet our mom. No. She left us on the mountain.
Okay. For you to pray.
Yeah.
And you ran away.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
So after you've gone into Accra, some chilling started. So what happened from there?
So I was home for about a year, and I think they didn't even trust me to leave the house, because if I left the house,
so no schooling.
No.
Sort of like house arrest kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, your parents are good.
And listen, if you can meet my mom,
my dad just cried when he thought the police caught me. He just cried. I've never seen my dad cry. He cried. My stepmom said, send him back. He says, I'm going to send you back to Ghana. And then there was a bit of begging then. Oh, it's horrible. Horrible.
Man. Oh, wow.
Horrible time, but God is good. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So, got to Accra, and then, like when the whole storm kind of blew over, me and my brother did go back home. And then I was literally at home for about a year. I wouldn't speak to my mum. I think for the whole year, I wouldn't necessarily speak to her. I didn't really have anything to say to her. It's just like, you're a terrible person. Horrible person. And then I think a year later, I went on Stars of the Future, which is like what Ghanaian X Factor. And I went on because I saw the ads on TV, and obviously they put up the ones that people are like struggling, and I was laughing, and my sister was like, "Well, if you think you could do a better job, why don't you go?" So I was like, "Okay, then." I don't know anyone in Ghana. By this point, I'd kind of sobered down a bit. Like there was nowhere for me to go, so I was just like, "Okay, let me just behave myself a bit more, sort of, so that they just leave me alone." And then I went to Stars of the Future. But before that, there was this one evening where literally I felt completely purposeless. Like just I felt terrible at this point. I mean, I'd been feeling terrible from about 15, 16, 17, 18. I was about 18 going to 19 by this time, and I was just like, one night, like if I could have killed myself that night, I believe that I would have, because I was literally at that point I was like, literally nothing is working. Like 18 going to 19. And I would get like, I used to worry so much I would lose weight, and I would get like heart palpitations because of how worried I was about
the future,
and just like what's going on in my life. And there was this one night when I just went on the floor and I just prayed, and because I was like, well, since I can't kill myself, because the house was only 1 story high, so if I jumped, I would have only broken my leg or hit my head.
You don't want to end up in Ghana.
And then there was no train lines in Ghana for you.
It's not even that. You don't want to call Ghana ambulance and then come anytime soon.
Ambulance takes only dead people, apparently.
Ghana ambulance.
Ambulance only takes dead people. So
they've changed, please. No.
I hope so.
Yeah, okay.
You're not doing politics, but they've changed.
Amen.
So that night, I went on the floor and I was just like, do you know what, yeah, God, if you see me, like if you have eyes to see, then I really need you to see me. And if you have ears to hear, then I need you to hear this prayer, because like I can understand when people let me down, but I've let my own self down so many times. I've made so many mistakes. It wasn't even like I can say, oh, this person hurt me. I've seen that I've hurt myself. And this is what even put me in this position of my mom to be able to even do this to me, because I'd made one bad decision after the next. And I was like, if you truly see me, then I need you to see me, and I need you to change my life. And I just want to be happy, because I felt like I was carrying like a blanket, like a sheet of just like anger, hurt, just darkness. I was just always, I might smile and everything, but I just felt really horrible inside. And that's the prayer that I prayed. I lay on the floor. I remember I was just on the floor and I was just crying, because I was like, well, I can't kill myself, can I? So I might as well pray. And I prayed. Then I went to Stars of the Future, and about a whole year later, I was standing in one church ministering. And
so wait, let me quickly backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
So now there must have been something which growing up you have encountered for you to be able to then
go back,
pray in the moment of desperation.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is it that kind of triggered you to pray?
To pray.
What was it that you remember that you felt that, oh,
God has the answer.
There is a connection, so let me pray, and then I may even get an answer from God.
So like I said, my parents are pastors, so I grew up in church.
Okay.
All I've ever known, in spite of my moments of craziness, was church, and was God.
Right. And
even if, let's say,
when you say you were born again at that time.
No.
Okay.
Now. So even if, like, in my mind, I haven't experienced God in a way that I can say maybe I saw him tangibly, face to face, and that kind of thing. At least I knew, and I'd seen miracles. I mean, I literally saw a lady come into church one day and drop dead on the floor. She was sick, you know, and people were screaming, should we call the ambulance? Should we call the ambulance? And my mom was like, no, let's pray. And we prayed, and the lady got up. And that's not even the first miracle that I've seen. It's like different things. There was this one lady who had fibroids, and it's either the fibroids turned into a baby or the baby pushed out the fibroids, or like just crazy things. Like I've seen crazy things, like for myself.
So you knew that God.
So at least I knew that
God is real.
Yeah.
It must be, you know. Okay. And so that's what even was like. Okay, well, let me pray, because even if I haven't experienced him for myself in that kind of way, I've seen things, and these people weren't joking, because I go home with my mom every day, so I know if it's fake or not. You get me? So
that's a good testimony.
Yeah. So I was like, well, let me pray. So I prayed, and a year later, after Stars of the Future, I was standing in this church and I was ministering, and I literally had like a flashback. Like, you know, when you go back, like I see myself in college, high school, in this and that, and just different things. It was just like really quickly, all the way through, and then I'm standing right there in that church, singing, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, first I was like, how did I get? And there was this like sense of like pure joy, because before, in spite of the fact that I'd be laughing and joking and stuff, inside I just used to feel a lot of pain and anger and just hurt. And my heart was always like, I was always panicking, But in that moment, I was just calm. I was happy. I didn't even feel like.
How did you transition from the start of the future, journey, and then your way back to church ministering and that kind of thing? Because I mean, naturally, Stars of the Future, the way the program, because I know of when it started, it's not a gospel, so it's a highly secularized talent show where all these scouts
we had
are
gospel
all there.
week.
Yeah, that's good. So I know people like Irene Logan, and then Fia, who is the lady who is now Fia. She is a product of the very first edition of
even
Stars
Adina
of
as
the
well,
Future.
I think
A couple of them. So what is it that because with the kind of talent you are, I believe that there might have been scouts and stuff.
Definitely.
That you wanted to coach you and get you signed onto label. So what is it that then moved you to go back into church, but rather not take the other path?
So the one thing that always kept me grounded, also like in the crazy times and stuff, was gospel music. Like throughout my teenage years, and I figured out that I could sing a lot better than I thought I could around 15, 16.
Okay.
So one day I was listening to a Kiera Sheard album, pardon me, and then I was singing along to it because I really liked her at the time. It was like, we grew up listening to like your typical Elder Miracle, Daughters of Glory. So when I kind of discovered the the American, I was just like, oh my god, this is like, not to say that oh no, not cool, guys. But it was
it's
different. I think it's also a different generation. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like more identifiable, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was like, oh, this is really interesting. So I would buy like all her albums, and then one day I was singing along to one, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm singing along to a Kiera Sheard track. And I was like, to me, I think she can like sing. So maybe I can sing better than I think I can sing. So then I recorded myself on my phone, listened back to it, and I was just like, oh my god. Before then, I hadn't really paid attention to myself. So I was like, oh my gosh, I think I can sing better than I think I can sing. Right. And it was like a kind
like
of
a
moment.
moment.
Yeah, and from there I started like exploring more, writing music, and then I realized I could write. So it was just like a really exciting time for me. And then from there I kind of like spiraled down, and then so even in that I discovered this gift and this love for gospel music. So in times when like things were really messed up, I would come back and listen to gospel music. And I remember there was this one time when I think I broke up with this guy. I went to go and listen to Rihanna on Faithful. Okay. And then I was bawling like like I did
the same with Adele. No, even worse. That
like,
that just destroys you up.
And then I was like, oh gosh, this is not very uplifting, is it?
Okay, alright. You need something more uplifting than this.
So I went back to listen to gospel music. Okay. And I felt happy, I felt loved in the
It's the only thing that can heal you.
So when I came
So right on there, was that the guy that you mentioned at Agma? You remember your speech at Agma?
No, I don't remember. You said, thanks to all the guys.
Oh, okay. Who broke out for you to go back to Jesus?
Wow. Yeah. Because that pulled you closer to Christ.
Well, definitely. I feel like if you're willing to channel your pain in the right direction, you will find God.
Wow. Channel your
pain. Repeat that again.
If you're willing and open to channel your pain in the right direction, you will find God. Otherwise, you will self-destruct because you kind of internalize the pain, and then maybe you kind of spill it out in the wrong kind of ways. Then you kind of like spiral down. Because that happened to me, I was dating one guy, things didn't go very well, and then things like the relationship between me and my mum got worse. And then I was, you know how African parents are, like they will go in on you, like, don't you have any sense? Just kind of go. And it got to a point, I was like, okay, well, if I'm this person and you think I'm trash, then okay, fine. I'm gonna go sleep with more guys. Like, you can either go that way
or that way.
Or there was one time when I was like, this doesn't make me happy. This is like, I don't feel good. One day when I look at myself in the future and I look back at my like past Niella, would I be proud of this? And I was like, no. So I was like, I need to fix up. So it's like I'm saying, it's either you internalize the pain and you spiral down, or you channel it at the right things and you use the pain to build yourself instead of dating the next guy without reading the warning signs and stuff. How about I take my time this time around, or I just don't date that guy. I won't die. You have to put measures in place to protect yourself instead of just spiral down. So it really depends what you do with the pain. And now I've forgotten what the initial question was because we kind of veered.
Yeah.
Yes,
No, we are
gospel
talking
music.
about
Yeah,
gospel
So how did I
music.
come back to
Yeah,
gospel?
yeah.
Yeah, so after Stars of the Future, yes, I did get approached by quite a few different people, and they were just like, you know, you should do R&B. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And then I was just kind of like, but the one thing that I believe saved me was gospel music, because in spite of everything, I would come back to gospel music. So I was like, why don't I put out the same thing that saved me for other people that are drowning and that are
That's
sinking?
amazing.
Okay.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay.
And so I had to say no to quite a few people offering me different contracts and things.
So how do you get to the place of being like open? Because I think the most difficult thing for a lot of gospel artists, people see them and think, oh my God, this person is all perfect, all together now, but not realizing where they're coming from. And I think sometimes a lot of people can name and shame as well. People don't know you from the past. I need to know this girl. Who is this?
Yeah, that's very
she's
true.
someone
That's
now.
very true. One thing that like I say to people that what people look at you as is a bad thing could actually be your blessing, because I've always been very stubborn. I don't like to fit into boxes. I don't even like to dress the way everybody dresses. When I went to school, everybody was wearing the normal uniform. I had to put leg warmers like bright yellow, pink, green. I don't like to fit anywhere.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in it.
But that's just what God has made you.
Yeah. And people would have looked at me in the past and thought, oh, this girl was so stubborn, or she's just over the top and thinks that she's all that, blah, blah, blah. But then when I was doing the wrong thing, if you tell me, Niella, you're going to hit your head, I'm just like, what's it to you? Is it your head? Kind of thing. And I would go and hit my head. But then when I came over to this side, then it's like, I'm all for God and anything that you like. I'm not listening. I don't listen to people's opinions. I believe that in everything that people are saying, there's some truth to it. So I always analyze even the bad. Like, even if you put bad stuff on I won't fight you. I don't have time. I would just listen to it and just be like, okay. If it pops up 2-3 times, then maybe it's true. You know, maybe there's some truth in there. But essentially, no one can kill you. Like, no one can come and kill me because I did something wrong. And truthfully, like the story in the Bible, the first, if you haven't sinned, throw the first stone. So if I'm confident, and I'm like, if you're going to do something wrong in this life, do it with your chest.
Right.
And if you're going to do something right, do it with your chest.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, I don't believe in this whole, and that's how the devil works as well, in secret, in not sharing things, even in families. Oh, this one said this thing, but your auntie said, and your mom said, and how about we just come out and you said this, what are we saying? Let's hash it out right now. I don't believe in hush. I mean, it's gotten me in trouble sometimes, because I would go up to someone and say something that I probably shouldn't say, but I'd rather say it.
Helps you deal with it too, I guess.
Yeah. And I always tell people that I will go home and I'll go and sleep at night. Like, I won't let it bug me, because I've been able to build myself and get myself to that point. And I believe that, like, your mind, you can build your mind to the place where you're affected by people's comments or you're not. Or if someone says to you, if you've done something wrong and someone says, oh, you've done this thing wrong, and you are like ashamed, or you acted a certain type of way, then it's like, oh my God, did you see the way she reacted when I said it? She definitely did it. You know, that kind of thing. But if you say, oh, you did this thing, I was like, yeah, I did. And, it was really dumb. I shouldn't have. What do you say next?
There are 2 quick questions I want to have. Unfortunately, we
wow,
have to wrap up the show. But
I know it's
2
playing
quick
songs.
questions. Do you think that in all these, from the way that you were to the journey to Ghana, the change, how your thinking processes, and how you were able to harness that inner strength that you felt to come back to God, do you think that your parents' prayer and investment, or your parents' covenant with God, played a role? The reason why I'm asking this is that there are other
Parents.
kids. There are other kids who probably were towing the same path as you are.
Or you think I'm still doing that now?
But there was no way they could even think like you thought
100%.
for them to come back. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I work with young people who are challenged in that area, and sometimes I just say in my head that all these people need is Jesus, because all the statutory bodies, councils, social service, everybody's doing what they can do, but it's not working. So I'm just thinking through what you're saying, and I'm like, could it just be that
an encounter,
God, through the sacrifices of your parents, got you to react and come back in that way?
I would say yes,
Mm.
and a slight no.
Okay.
I would say yes because obviously there's power in prayer, and my mom is a very prayerful woman, and she's also a strict woman.
Right.
My mom doesn't. She's like me, I guess. She doesn't take no for an answer. She won't just give up after the first try. And I believe that a lot of our older generation, especially coming into this society, have not been able to keep a harness on their kids, and therefore you're able to just, like, your thoughts run wild. My mom will talk to you even if you don't want to listen.
Okay.
I can be staring at the wall, but she will still be talking. Like, you need to get your life together. You need to get your thought patterns right. You can't just do this because you like it. You can't just do this because it feels good. You can't. She will talk. She will talk. Like, at one point, you're like, if, like, lightning could just come and strike her so she can just leave me alone. But she will keep going. And it's in the hard times when no one is around that those things will come back, you know? And a lot of our older generation don't necessarily have the patience to be able to speak to you, and also, to be honest, she didn't have the patience sometimes. But
I love them scream.
But yeah,
instead of talking,
have the patience to be able to talk to you. And once you see your kid doing things like rolling their eyes and starting to act out of character, sometimes they kind of shy away. And I feel like that's one of the worst things that you can do, is shy away from a young person who's going through a hard time. Because the truth is, they don't actually know what they're doing, and they don't have the answers. So as much as God has a part to play in this, and I feel like this is what is worrying Christianity as a whole, as much as God has a part to play in this, God comes into your life so that you can fix your thought patterns, who you are as a person. You have to keep looking back at yourself. And if a lot of us are not willing to look at ourselves, because in this current generation, there's this whole, don't judge me, everyone's bare sensitive, don't talk to me this particular way, you can't talk about my style of dressing, the way I do this, the way I speak, or what my friends. And if we're going to keep doing that, truthfully, we can't get through to our youth. Right. Because the system right now, and where the world is going to a very super liberal place where everyone can do whatever the heck they want.
It's like, so it takes you back to the time in, I think, in one of the books of Judges, where everybody did what was right in their own sight. Exactly.
So who's going to advise who if we're all right? And then if our friend circles, our environments, everybody's also doing the things that our pastors or the one, like a few people are telling us that we shouldn't do. Why should we listen to those three people who are basically like speaking against the 1,000? Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but it takes one person to just put their foot down and keep trying, even though it looks like it may not be working. And don't be afraid because they threw a tantrum. Like when it gets tough, they will remember what you said.
Right. Trust me. Right. Now, my second question is related to all of a sudden, in particular, I started hearing your name in Ghana, like within the contemporary gospel music circles. Niella, every program, Niella. And I was like, Niella, okay. Then, obviously I started researching and seeing your videos and stuff. How did you get onto that pedestal? What was? Do you remember? What's administration? What gave you that break? What was it that people begin to realize that all of a sudden all the gospel programs Niella?
Well, maybe not all.
Most of them actually.
So after Stars of Future, I put out a single, I believe at the time, the Afrobeats version. And then I didn't really like that one, but everyone who heard it was like, oh, we like. So I just kind of put it out, but it was meant to be more of a worship song. So I ended up redoing it as a worship song. And from there, I would just go to friends' churches, just any it was mostly friends' churches. And there was a guy who won Stars of Future at the time called Emmanuel, who would take me along to his church, friends' church, and we would just kind of go and sing and sing and sing and sing and sing. And that's how I guess it started, and then I joined, was it Next Generation Gospel Ministers? Then I ended up meeting Joy Metal, Akesid, Denzel, MOG, all of them, because it was like a big group. And I was like the youngest one in there, and it was so weird because when I got there, I was just like, first of all, it's called Next Generation, not even being shady, guys, but it's called Next Generation, so I just assumed that it would be like young people.
Right? You went and met all these old guys.
My uncle.
But that's really help you. Do you feel like that surrounding, that connection, help you become who you are today? Maybe help build?
I mean, there's people that have been instrumental. Like Joy Metal has been amazing. We have a song together, and that song.
I played that earlier on.
Okay.
I absolutely love that track.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. So there's some people who definitely really, really helped me out. And then for the most part, I believe I'm also quite reserved. So as much as I'm in the scene, I'm kind of not in the scene. Because like just generally, even when I was young, I just can't deal with a lot of like people, you know, like just a lot. You have to call, hey, all right, well, it gets a lot of my head. So as much as I'm in the scene, I'm not in the scene. But I feel like if you stick to what you do and what you know and what you believe God has called you to do, you will sing at one place, someone will see you, they call you here. Someone will see, they call you here, or you put out a video. The door's just opening, it's your obedience. Yeah, you put out a video, and then sometimes we would do like radio tours, TV tours, and then because I was on Stars and Features, certain people that if I call up, that oh, I want to come do this, they'll be like, okay, yeah, you can come on GH1, you can do this, you can do that. So, I mean, to me, I don't know, I feel like it looks different on the outside, because to me, I'm just like, I really haven't pushed yourself as much as
you're just doing what you enjoy doing.
I think, or I know that I can, kind of thing.
Right.
But then the people on the outside, oh my God, Niella, you're doing so much, and I'm just like, literally, okay, if you think so, that's cool. And there was one time when I went out and people were like, oh my gosh, you're on every single program, and I promise you, for that past 2 months, I've been in my house. So I was just like, I promise you. So I just feel like, yeah, when God wants something to happen, it will happen. And if you're ready to ride the wave when He's ready, then you'll be alright.
Wow, we're gonna play some songs.
Let's play this track because we literally have just about 7 minutes to go. So I believe was the track you remade after. Yes. So the original was like Afrobeat, but you remade it. So what inspired you to do the remake? You always wanted to be.
This is how the song was originally supposed to be. So,
so was this recorded in Ghana or in London?
Yes,
this was recorded in which studio is that?
Reverb
Studio. That's Reverb.
Yes.
Reverb Studio. Okay, so let's listen to this track. This is, I believe, Niella.
Wow, going to Ghana was a divine calling. I tell you, man. Everybody do intervention, Everybody goes to Ghana and listen. Some people would write out there.
That's true.
Yeah, a lot of people go back there.
Alright folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll be going very soon, but you've heard such an amazing testimony from Niella. Well, I told you I've not had the opportunity of speaking to her one-on-one before, so this is a testimony. I'm so glad that she's been here to do this. Let me get my microphone so that's so
nobody else to reach me like you do. I just wanna say that I love you. I can understand your love, but Lord, I believe in your mercy. You're always good to me, never leave me, always love me, even when I'm wrong.
testimony, what a revelation, what should I say? I believe that we've encountered tonight what the power of God can do in the life of anyone. Jesus says that, "Come unto me, all ye that are weary and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest." And I believe so much that if there are any parents who have a young person who possibly is battling with their self-identity and is going through all these motions, I believe that tonight you have been super encouraged that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly
more than we can ask or
above
think.
everything. Above everything. So Niella, let's quickly come to, I know unfortunately we don't have much time, but I want to find out, speak to some young people. Speak to some young people from your heart. What is it that you would tell young people who are battling with their self-identity, their self, where they don't know what to do, they find themselves dragged, influenced by friends and that kind of thing? What would you tell them?
So what I would say to anyone, especially young people that are like battling with, sense of purpose, a sense of, identity, not being able to, I guess, navigate through life with what they're supposed to do, and maybe even wrong influences from friends and stuff, is that literally when you walk with God, or when you're trying to find God, you have to shut out the world. And recently there's something that I keep saying, and it's that the relationship that God had with Abraham is not the same relationship that he had with Daniel, not the same relationship that he had with Ezekiel, not the same relationship that he had with, let's say, John the Revelator. God was very different to each person, and each of us have a unique relationship with God, and you have to figure out what yours is. And if you're listening to too many influences and people around you, you might miss that. So you really have to take time out to spend time with God for yourself, and also ask yourself, what do I want to see in myself? What change do I want to see? Write it out if you have to. Speak it out every single morning if you have to. A lot of us deal with things like insecurity, self-doubt, all those things, and we bottle it up. There was a time when I would have to literally speak out against like the thoughts in my mind, and like negative thoughts would come into my head, and I would literally be like, shut up. I would say out loud, like, shut up, like, keep quiet. You can't tell me this. Like, this is not what I believe of myself. Like, I'm smart, I'm interesting, I'm funny, I make people laugh, I can sing. I would say all the good things that I can think about myself. And it's a process, and it doesn't happen in one day, but you have to be dedicated to yourself, to your own self-healing, and if you add God to that, like, God help me, like, you can achieve anything, honestly. If there's going to be a time when I'm going to tell my story, like, properly and into detail, and I actually have a diary that I wrote from when I was like 15, 16. I don't know why I did, but it's good that I did, because
Would you consider putting it into a movie?
Definitely. And when I go back and read it, I'm just like, what the heck? It literally seems like a different person wrote it. Like, just even the thought process of things that were happening around, the way I would process it was completely different from who I am today. So I would say, like, don't give up on yourself, and don't expect to see your change in a day. Yes, God, things can change in a day, because I remember there was one time that I was angry at a particular girl. I got so angry, like, enraged. I was so angry, I was literally shaking. And in that moment, I was just like, I hate anger. Like, I don't like what anger does. And so I'm never going to be angry again, because I don't like the fact that when I get angry, I start to see visions of hurting people, and I start shaking, and it's like a rage takes over. And in that moment, I was in year 8, and I said to myself, I'm never going to be angry again, because this behavior, this is disgusting. And since that day, I've never been like angry to the point where I would shake and rage would take over. So yeah, there's certain things that can happen in a day. And when it comes to like my whole character overhaul, it took like 3-4 years. And even today, I'm still working on myself.
And just spending time with God.
And spending time with God for real. And when something is really bothering you, tell God, you know what? I'm making some really stupid decisions here. Can you help me? But if you're not going to be real with yourself, God ain't, like, you can't trick God. So you're just going to keep going around in circles. And God is going to be looking at you, because you're supposed to ask for the things that you truly need. So if you're not going to truly ask him, like, I have an addiction, like, maybe I'm addicted to sex, I'm addicted to pornography, like, help me, then you're just gonna, oh God, please help me, my weakness. What weakness? Okay.
You need to open up to him.
You need to be real and raw with God.
Oh, we need to have you again on the show.
Right. We need to possibly, I don't know, but we definitely need to have you on the show. People, which are for, we need to go. Right, yes. So your final words, Amanda.
Yeah, just have a blessed and wonderful week, and just from Niella, just to stay in the presence of God and spend time with Him, so He can transform us, because we can't do it by ourselves. And just be real with God, about what we're going through.
God willing, next week we'll be back. The next program is happening with Pastor, so awesome time of marriage and discussion and everything. So yeah, peace, and we are out. My name is Daniel, and I did this with Amanda, with Niella, our special guest. We'll be back next week. Worship and inspiration.
Thank you. Oh, lovely. Good.
Hello, folks. Thanks very much. You had it all for yourself. We'll be back next week.
There's so many
God bless
topics
you.
that we could cover, isn't there?
I know.